Hello, boys and girls. I'm the Flying Teacup, and before this pod starts, I just wanted to say that this is pre-recorded from a couple of days ago when me and Astreus streamed live. We will be streaming the podcast, or at least the recording live. So if you're interested on being there when we stream it, then follow us on Twitter or go follow Astreus on his Twitch channel, and we will tell you when we will stream next time. This podcast is mainly directed towards Titanfall, so if you have any subjects that you want us to talk about, then please comment in the comment section and tell us. But with no further ado, let's begin with the podcast.
If you guys don't know, we're doing this live. We're also gonna make a video about this, or a video like kind of supercut of everything. So if you're watching on YouTube, hello. You missed the party. You're now square. If you're here, well, really happy that you're here.
Yeah. To those who don't know me yet, my name is Astreus. I'm a Titanfall YouTuber or streamer, mostly from from Germany. And yeah, thanks for being here, guys. And I think we should start. So let's go into the structure a little bit. We're going to talk about the Titanfall 1 situation that has been going on for a while, and also, yeah, of course, the way Titanfall 2 has been affected, and the newest stuff, which is the Apex hack that happened, a week ago actually already. Time flies.
Oh,
yeah, 4th of July.
Right.
And so yeah, that's the structure. We're not gonna get interacted here with my stream chat, but hope you guys don't mind that. So yeah, let's have a little throwback. So Titanfall 1 got released in 2014. I didn't get to play back in the day. I think you got to, right?
I think it was around 2015, mid 2015. I I started, or I played the Titanfall 1 for the first time.
All right. So. The population never seemed to be too big there, at least on PC after a few years, especially since I found Titanfall 2 before Titanfall 1. So the population has already dropped a lot. But it seems that at some point, like 2 or 3 years ago, something started evolving there, leading to bot attacks of the servers. We're not going to go in depth on how this stuff all evolved, because it's too much information that is not really relevant right now anyway. So the servers have been kind of taken down by that one single person for the most part, I think, because of sheer hatred, I assume, for Titanfall and its community.
I guess,
And I have not been like aware of that for a while, because I never played Titanfall 1 anyway, really. But I mean, the community has suffered from it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the community has been quite small, so I don't think that has reached EA or Respawn to that point where they actually have to do something about it. So I don't that have kind of like been swept under the rug, basically.
I don't know if there were any like attempts to get attention to it.
I think there have been attempts. Sadly, haven't really reached to the point where Respawn has actively said that they are going to fix it.
Yeah, I never heard anything. Like, I'm super involved with the Titanfall 2 community, of course, but like when I got in touch with Titanfall 1, I've met like a few people, got introduced to the Remnant Fleet server, and it was just like, yeah, we have a hacker, we can't really play, but if we can play, we have some CTF tournaments or so and other stuff going on when we have the chance. But for the most part, it seems like they were kind of accepting it. I don't know, maybe that's the wrong word, but
I do remember
I didn't see many efforts really, because I'm not involved there too much.
I remember when Titanfall 2 released, there were a lot of people in the Titanfall 1 community that wasn't really happy with, like, kind of not removing completely, but kind of like sabotaging, b-hopping, the customizability to the Titans were removed in Titanfall 2 and stuff like that. So there has always been kind of like a very small but very devoted community in Titanfall 1. But I don't think that community has been big enough and gotten enough attention for Respawn to actually like notice that there is something wrong, that the game is not even playable anymore. So I think there has been attempts, but they haven't really reached Respawn, I think.
Yeah, also it doesn't really seem that there are many like active Titanfall 1 streamers. I mean, there is a community, yes, but it's not like there's like one person with a huge following that could draw like insane attention, I think. So that's maybe one of the reasons that it didn't get much attention back in the day. So like the state for Titanfall 1 on PC, by the way, we're not talking about Xbox here. Xbox is still like playable, probably has like 100, 200, 300 people playing it every day or so, as far as I know. And on PC, Titanfall 1 is literally unplayable. Sometimes there are like days off where the bots don't overload the servers and people actually manage to get into matches. But it is a dead game, literally a dead game, because of the will of one single person, which is really sad considering there are 7 billion people in the world. And, if multiple people decided to do shit like that, like how much worse it could get. So if one person's capable of such an attack, like Respawn should really, I don't know, like fear it, or not fear it, but prepare themselves.
Yeah.
Because there are enough people with hatred or whatever in the world that would want to do something like that. We have seen this in the Apex community as well, with DDoS attacks and logging people out of their accounts with like Shift FPS and other people. So going to Titanfall 2, the situation kind of started back in April, in the first week of April this year, where I don't know if I've heard some like 1 or 2 occasions where people said they have been attacked by a DDoSer. I went on with some other people during a charity event and just streamed it, and we all, for the most part, I think, got hit as well. We still like continued the event and everything, but that's where it kind of started for me.
I think it's actually started a little bit earlier, just that we didn't really know if there was a hacker or if it was like just the servers messing up or something.
Right. I think it started in like late March for the first time in Titanfall 2. Right. So then so we were aware that it was one person attacking us at that point, because that person also started like harassing us in chat. So I at least just banned him. Other people decided to actually talk to them for whatever reason. Didn't have much effect. So yeah, a few weeks later, the modder from the Titanfall community called Taskinos provided the streamers with a streamer mod that would prevent people from seeing what is going on in your game, like name tags, Titan names, like auto Titans, ticks, and all that stuff. So like you could never see who you're playing with. Also meaning your own account is also like covered by it. You could use like not your main but an alt account and be safe. It has worked for quite some time, because at that point it seemed like he was tracking, like he needed to know who's in the lobby as well or anything, I don't know. So the mod was working fine for a good while. With an alt account you were very safe for like 1 or 2 weeks, I think. I have not been like hit during that time until the whole blacklisting started happening.
Yeah, because before it was just like manually. The hacker had to actually find the server, find the person to boot out, and then boot out the... I don't think they actually boot out the entire lobby. I think they booted out a specific player.
No, it was actually the entire lobby, but the attacks were like specific. It didn't just like continuing the entire day. Like it seems like he just had to press a button and then that person's getting kicked out. But next match they could play again. Whereas now with a blacklist, you get into a match, you instantly get thrown to the main menu, as well as like the entire lobby.
And it's not it's not only like multiplayer matches. If you play a private match, which technically is a multiplayer match, but if you play a private match by yourself and you're blacklisted, you get booted out of the private match too. So you can't even play like private matches with people.
Play alone as of right now, but as soon as someone else joins, the server dies.
Okay.
Which is weird. That might be a hint for Respawn where the league seems to be, because first I couldn't even play private matches on my own. So I think they actually already did something there. Now I can play private matches alone, which is not really helpful, but I mean, yeah. I don't know why it's interrupting the connection as soon as another player joins now. But yeah, Respawn has to do with it. Has to do something with that information. I am not a developer. Also, the alt accounts of many streamers have been affected. There are like a few people that are not streamers that are just super involved in the community that are also blacklisted. But there are not many of them, let's say.
But I mean, from what I know, the people that are blacklisted, it seems to be like the pattern is either if you're an influencer like a Twitch streamer or a YouTuber, or if you are like high ranking in the competitive scene or well known in the competitive scene, you seem to be blacklisted. Personally, luckily, I haven't been blacklisted yet. It's just like a ticking time bomb. I will basically, I know I will be hit eventually. Hopefully not, but I'm pretty much accepted it at this point.
You also said something about the PS4 servers earlier when we were talking.
Yeah, from what I've seen on Twitter and heard from the community, both on Reddit, on Discord, it seems like the PS4 community has basically been shut out, like pretty much like the PC in the Titanfall 1 scene. Like you can't play, even if it doesn't matter if you're an influencer, if you're a competitive player or whatever, you can't find matches because you get booted out immediately. But it seems like it goes like on and off. That might also mean that Respawn have like a pseudo fix for it. Like it doesn't really work, but it sort of works, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think it's
really know.
I think it's too early to say like, it's going to be fixed or they're working on it like full time. I think it might be a hint, or maybe that the software or the method that the hacker's using, it has holes in it or whatever. So
yeah, it doesn't seem to be a fix really. Like when the PS4 attacks happen, like they can just continue afterwards when it's done. I don't think Respawn is actively doing anything there. It's more like a flow of water and you're interrupting it by throwing a stone in there or whatever, putting something in the water that holds it back. But as soon as that is removed, it flows normally. So I don't know, like Respawn was not getting really involved there. It just happened that the person that threw the stone or whatever into the water just took it out himself, and then it's normal again. It's probably going to cost a lot of PC power or something maybe to run these attacks. We're not really aware of how he's doing all that stuff, or he takes on like entire servers, not just people. It seems that like if he wanted to kill Titanfall, which is his priority, as he said, he could have done that by now if he had the power. But it just seems like he's just trying to annoy the community as much as possible by turning the servers off and on. Because if he could, he would definitely do it. So he still seems limited in his abilities to completely kill the platform or PS4.
But should we move over to like one of the biggest news or whatever about the DDoSing attacks and stuff? So I think you have more information and more.
You
more
mean
knowledge
the Apex situation, or
yeah,
sure. So on the 4th of July, we have heard the news that it seemed that a hacker had taken over Apex Legends by trapping people in the main menu when they came out of matches, which then didn't let them search for a new game, but instead let them select between like the game modes, but the game modes were just covered with like save Titanfall, and you couldn't actually get into any game, so you were preventing players from playing. And it linked the Save Titanfall website as well, which then received a lot of traffic, resulting in the Remnant Fleet Discord, which was linked on the Save Titanfall website, getting like raided and flooded with Apex players that were, reasonably mad at the Titanfall community for this. Because, of course, the hacker wanted to draw attention to the issues with Titanfall. But he definitely did more harm than good with this whole thing, because a Respawn developer already said they have 1 or 2 people working on Titanfall 2 right now, actually.
Which is Jason Garza in one of his live streams on YouTube, I think someone mentioned like the DDoSing things in Apex, or not in Apex, but in Titanfall, and he explained that right now there are about 1 to 2 people that are actively working on trying to get a fix or trying to fix this, and the reason why they can't communicate with the community, like saying like we're making good progress or we're doing this, is because if they're basically saying like how they are fixing, not specific, but if they're like hinting like, yeah, we have figured out a way to like track this guy or whatever, it can potentially like jeopardize the progress that they've already made, which means that everything they've done so far is for nothing. So that's why the devs at Respawn aren't as vocal about the DDoSing attacks. Like, they are aware of it, they are working on it, but they can't really, talk about it too much, because if they do, it will only set them back.
It's kind of revealing what you're planning right now. And then that gives the hacker time to prepare, basically. So they can't really tell us which steps they're doing or have done. They're probably like waiting for a big attack, or not attack, but defense, let's say. So they're not going to publish anything they're planning on right now, which is reasonable.
But also another thing that I think is important to keep in mind is that it's not about just fixing it for the time being. When it comes to like Respawn or big companies in general, when there is a security breach, they can make a hotfix, but they need to find a way to make it secure for the future as well. So most likely they might, or I shouldn't really say might, but it could be that they have found a solution to fix it in short term, but that doesn't mean that they have found a way to, if there's something else that needs to be done, or they find out that there's another backdoor or whatever, a leak, like how we're gonna fix that, because it's not about just fixing this one problem for the time being, because that's basically what the Titanfall community did, or what Tristan does, with Streambot, that it fixed the problem for the time being, but the problem was still there. So I think when it comes to like, I know saying like be patient, it's like it's a meme in the Titanfall community, like Titanfall 3, be patient, it will come eventually. But the thing is, it's frustrating, and I understand that there's nothing really we can do about it. All we can do is like, be understanding, which is like the lamest answer ever. But we need to understand that it's not a fix of like pressing the fix button and it works. It has to do with a lot of security breaches and a lot of like deep rooted in the servers, in the game engine, whatever, like the matchmaking, whatever. It's a lot of stuff that has to be fixed, and you can't really move like the entire Apex team to only focus on this security breach, because that would just, Yeah,
I mean, it's a company. They have priorities, since Apex is the main source of income.
But I don't think Apex player. I don't think the Titanfall community should blame Apex because of the problem not being solved. Because the thing is that I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I think Titanfall and Titanfall 2 and Apex are kind of similar when it comes to like the servers and the code and whatnot. So if there's a problem
definitely, they're exactly the same, I think.
Yeah, so if Apex is built on top of Titanfall, if there's a problem in Titanfall, there is most likely the same problem or a very similar problem in Apex. So if there's a problem with Titanfall 2, it's just a ticking time bomb until that will reach Apex. And I think that's Respawn are aware of that. And I think when this is all over, hopefully if this will be all over, I think that will put the Apex community in safe hands, which makes at least me really happy to hear that the Apex community doesn't have to go through what the Titanfall community has to go through. That doesn't mean that that Titanfall players are deserving of like a free heirloom or whatever in Apex. But I think that's also the thing about the Apex hack. Like, Respawn are aware of the problem. Just going over, like, pushing that up in Apex face is like, hey, Apex players, look how bad this game is being treated. It's like, I mean, yeah, that's it's good to be like, hey, this could be you in a few years. Therefore, we should. Yeah. But basically, blocking people from playing is like just. It doesn't fix the problem. It just makes it more annoying.
More damage. Yeah. Also, so I was thinking about talking about that on Twitter the other day, because the hacker was actively preventing players from playing the game, which is absolutely not justifiable in any way, in my opinion. Then I thought, okay, maybe if they didn't prevent players from playing, it would be all right. But then you could be like, okay, there's this issue in the world, and if I hack the game and don't prevent players from playing, then it's fine, which is of course not the case. Then you would have an excuse for hacking the game for any cause, whatever it might be. So even if it didn't prevent players from playing, I wouldn't have supported it, because it's illegal. It's a security breach for Respawn, and it's just giving them extra work. Like, even if it didn't prevent players, they would have still had to get into the office on July 4th, which is a big national holiday in the US. It would have done the exact same amount of damage in the end. Just that the players would have been less mad, let's say, but still you can't justify it in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of like, ruining Apex for what was it, 2 hours? Even if it wasn't 2 hours, even if it wasn't, I mean,
it was more because they had to get everybody in the office. So I think it was like 6, 7, 8 hours or so. Yeah, maybe.
But I mean, it kind of proves that, like, hey, there is a security breach in Apex, which is like the game that we are actively supporting right now. We need to fix this. Is like the highest priority. The only thing that happens, like, probably the two people that were working on fixing Titanfall at the time now have to move back to working on Apex instead. So
most likely because it's the same, or it's a similar security breach, and they're probably professionals in that area, and then they had to work on Apex that day. Maybe, we don't know it for sure, but it's
not fixing anything. It's not helping anyone. The only thing it does is just saying, like, hey, Titanfall needs to be fixed. Like, yeah, absolutely, but like, the office is on fire. We need to, like, kill the fire before we can, like, start working on Apex or Titanfall.
Yeah.
It doesn't help anyone. All it does is just, like, create unnecessary drama between the communities. That was it felt like after season 7. No, wait, it's season 9 now, right?
I mean, I think it's 10. No, season 10 is coming. We're in season 9, right?
Yeah. Okay, so let's say it's season, whatever, the same season that Valkyrie became a thing. Because before season 9, a lot of Apex players tried out Titanfall, And even if it wasn't like permanent, it kind of helped Titanfall kind of make a comeback, or at least be reminded, or at least reminded people like, hey, Titanfall is still a thing, it's still playable. And especially around like May 1st, I think that was like one of the biggest events that basically brought back Titanfall to like relevancy.
But still, like bringing that much attention to Titanfall in so many different ways, and like showing the legacy of Titanfall and everything, and then not helping the Titanfall community, which is suffering, was really enough for some people. Like it seems like, or for some people, it seemed like Respawn was milking the Titanfall franchise there for some good retention, for some good attention and nostalgia for some people, while not actually doing anything for the player base. And people were really fed up with it. I can understand the frustration from some people, but I would never go for those measures. Yeah,
but the thing is that I think this was just huge fucking bad timing. Not on, and it's not Respawn's fault exactly, because the thing is, when it comes like game development generally, like a game today, a modern game is in development for roughly 3 to 5 years, I think. And each season, I mean, they are Respawn are currently planning for like season 13 or season 12 right now. So I mean, the DDoSing thing wasn't even a thing when they planned for season 9.
Yeah.
And then when it was about to release, all this shit happened and it looked really bad on Respawn. And I mean, they already had like everything planned, and they couldn't really, I mean, they could possibly have skipped season 9, like, oh, we're just gonna do not any. But the thing is that that's just like, shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah, it's not from a company standpoint, it's not a good idea to like work on something for like 3 months and then like, oh, we're gonna scrap everything, and we're not gonna have anything for like the coming half year. It's like it's not realistic. It's not a good idea. I understand. I can't really blame Respawn for putting this out. And I mean, they tweeted specifically that they were going to fix, or they were working on the DDoSing thing before season 9 came out. So I mean, they did what they could, but I understand why people
they just started doing what they can. I wouldn't talk about that in the past tense yet. They just started, literally.
But it's kind of weird with the tweet saying like, help is coming ASAP, and then it turns out like it's only 1 or 2 people that works on the problem. That kind of feels weird. That's a weird way to say like, we're doing this ASAP, and then like, it's like 2 people.
1 or 2 people out of probably like 300 devs or so. But you have to, of course, from a company standpoint, they have to secure the workplaces for their employees. They want to get paychecks, It's not like, it's not like Respawn is poor now with Apex and other great games like Jedi Fallen Order. They have their good source of income, but it's probably still pushing them to like more content. You have to focus on Apex, which is reasonable. Like, let's not be stupid. We all know how it's going in the management area, probably there for the company. They have their priorities, and to be honest, I'm just happy it's at least someone working on it. At this point, I'm happy with anything. Fuck it.
I'm not sure how much I have said this. It feels like I've said this a couple of times, but that's probably because it's very personal. But I am currently studying game development as specifically a programmer. And the school where I'm studying, we often talk a lot with people in the industry. And the thing is that from a player's standpoint, it looks like it's a big company that has like all these millions of people working for them. But the thing is that like what is considered a large company is roughly 100 people. And the thing is that those 100 people are working everything from programming to graphic and all those subgenres, and then marketing, publishing deals or whatever.
There are tens of thousands of devs that are specifically trained to work on DDoS exploits. We have animators and everything, people that are still contributing to the game development, who are devs. They're just not part of that section, and you can't just expect the entire company to be made of these professionals for in-game, for like source code and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think most companies have like, I have not experience, but from what I've heard, basically when it comes to like programming, there are so many different stuff. Like there are people that work with like tools, like that are working with stuff that helps other devs do other things easierly. Like people who work with the engine are not the same people that are working with specific like tools, because the people who are working with engine, they are working with like getting stuff to work, while the people who works with tools are like taking the things in the engine to make it more digestible for instance, gameplay programmers. And then we have like people who work with network issues and stuff. There is so much random crap that is going on, so that 1/2 people are working on this thing for a game that is 5 years old at this point is actually kind of big, but it doesn't seem that big because there are 500 people working at Respawn, so why aren't like at least 50 of them working on this issue? Well, I mean, if you put someone who works with like I don't know, modeling like weapons that are specifically like trained to make weapons in video games, like only the models, what are they gonna do or bring to the team that are fixing a DDoSing that has to do with the systems of the game? It doesn't really help anyone, and everybody can't work on stuff that they don't know about. So that 1 to 2 people are working on this is actually bigger than you think.
Right. It's probably a bigger percentage, considering I don't know how many devs they have in that section, but I could actually imagine it's like maybe 5% of the people they have for it. So in relation to the money that Apex brings in from like a company standpoint, giving these 1 or 2 people over to Titanfall is in relation pretty good, maybe. And they're also hiring people, like they're actively looking for people in those sort of areas as well. Also, what I'd like to say is, since the Apex community is also suffering from DDoS attacks, and the engines are the same, like we're still talking about
it's the source engine, like the
source
Valve.
engine.
I think Valve made it like, I think Source Engine was released like 2007 or maybe before that. I mean, I'm gonna do a quick search.
Yeah, so it's like the same engine. We have the same infrastructure for Titanfall and Apex. They're super similar. So they're also aware of the DDoS problem in
2004.
Oh,
so it's extremely old.
Yeah. Also, the source code got leaked at some point last year, I think. That might have led to this problem as well, maybe.
I mean, Valve is also very open about like their products. Like modding is like what Valve is known for. Like every Counter-Strike game, every Half-Life game, Team Fortress 2 and so on, Left 4 Dead. There is a lot of modding in that community, and for a company that releases a lot of information about the products to the community, and then licensing the engine out to other companies to make their own games. I mean, I'm not surprised that there are a lot of people that knows how the source engine works, in and out. It's
but knowing that they're also working on the DDoS attacks in Apex kind of gives me some hope for Titanfall as well, because the engines are so similar and all the infrastructure. Because then if they find a fix, if it's the same exploit as in Titanfall, if they fix it in Apex, they could easily fix it in Titanfall 2 as well, and Titanfall 1.
if they are two different exploits, that just means that in case of them fixing Apex and Titanfall, there are two exploits that have been completely squashed that can't
That's
affect
also
none
good.
of the games. So
Yeah.
it's just a win-win.
Either way, yeah, it just would be better for us if it was just one exploit.
Yeah.
And for
I mean,
them.
yeah. There's a lot of quality testing and stuff, like QA work. Like, okay, how can we break this system after fixing it? Like, how can people figure out how to break the system, and how can we prevent that from happening?
Also,
so
I think the guy that or the people that hacked Apex to bring attention to Titanfall, they could have just messaged devs on Twitter or somewhere, write them an email and say, yo, we've tested around a little bit, so we kind of got into your game. We're not actually going to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, we have the strength to prevent players from playing and put messages into the game and everything. They could have just told Respawn that. And I've seen, like, companies literally hire people to then try to hack their system.
Doesn't Facebook do that? Like, if you hack Facebook, they give you like $1 billion and like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're hired by them. It's exactly what these companies do. They're looking for people to hack them in that employee status, not from outside to do damage, but there are people always looking for leaks within the system. And that person that knows how to hack Apex could have just let them know. Maybe they would have gotten an employee relationship done. Maybe they would have just said thanks and that's it. Who knows? Nonetheless, they would have helped Respawn in some way and not fucked up the entire Apex player base and bring us so much hatred just because the hacker appears to be from the Titanfall community and wanted to help them in the most like bad way ever. It's a missed opportunity.
That's something I would like to talk about a little bit, about like the perception of what people thought of the Titanfall community after the Apex hack. Because from all I did was basically just tweet out like, this is stupid, fuck this person, this is extremely unnecessary, this is just making things worse. And I mean, a very big majority of people were against the hack in the first place, and I think there was one specific comment. I'm not sure if this person is related to the to the Apex community. I'm just gonna try to find the tweet. So what this person is basically saying is like, I'm actually surprised that so many in the Titanfall community are outraged by this after, like, when Apex launched, people were like, okay, but where's Titanfall 3? And then Respawn were like, oh, well, Apex is taking off, so we're gonna cancel Titanfall 3. And that brought a lot of outrage. Every time Respawn mentions Titanfall, there are a bunch of people saying like, why aren't you focusing on Apex and stuff? And like, why are you defending them? This is super kind of you to like go out and say like, this is stupid. Why would you do this? Like, it doesn't actually affect you personally as a Titanfall content creator. This only brings more attention to the problems the Titanfall faces, but that's not the thing here. The thing here is that that people that aren't even a part of this, that just wants to play a game, like I've seen a lot of comments like, well, I finally got the time to sit down for a weekend and play, and now I can't play Apex because some dude has hacked into the servers and I can't play. This is like the only free time I have. It's like people like that doesn't have to get into all of this. They just want to play their favorite game. And I mean, it's stupid to basically block other people from doing what they want just because you find something infuriating. It doesn't help anyone. It just makes everything worse. And the communities after season 9, as far as I've heard and felt, like it seems like for the first time in like forever, the Titanfall and Apex community are kind of working together, or not working together, but are kind of getting along, and can be like super hyped about Viper, about like, getting into those like old classic memes from Titanfall that are mixed into to Apex. And then this happens and just ruins everything, just sets us back basically to when they said that they had canceled Titanfall 3 because of Apex. It's so unnecessary after all this. It's dumb.
Yeah, the whole Remnant Fleet server then got flooded with Apex players that were super mad. Some people then just, of course, went overkill and said some racist shit and just started insulting Titanfall players and just bring more and more hate. But I mean, that's exactly what you could have expected by doing that. Like, if you are the hacker and you didn't expect this, I have no fucking idea.
You have good hacking skills, but not social skills.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just insane. Also, there has always been this rivalry between the Apex and Titanfall community, as you already said, because Titanfall 3 was being turned into Apex, and then when Apex actually was a success, they canceled Titanfall 3 for the near future. And since then, like, the Titanfall community has always looked down onto Apex, just saying like Apex shit, Apex players are dog shit, whatever. There has been a little like crossover within the communities, I would say. Sure, some people from Titanfall have completely moved over to Apex, but in general, I don't see many like content creators actually like interacting with the Apex community. There's not much going on there. I'm a little bit involved there, sure, but the Titanfall community really sticks to itself, and so does the Apex community in the end. And that little success we had during Season 9, as you said, is just, it has gone to shit thanks to the hack now. And it's really sad. And it's just made it worse for everybody, because we've always looked down onto, or not we, but a good portion of a very good portion of the Titanfall community has always looked down onto Apex players and the game itself, and just hated Respawn for it. And that's definitely not what we need right now. We need Respawn to do something, yeah, sure, but we need to wait and a little. I know it sounds annoying. I'm annoyed as well. I have been affected by the blacklist, just like many other streamers as well. But I think you just have to be patient here, unfortunately. There's nothing else we can do. And the people that can do something just use it to do something bad, apparently. I don't know. Also, what I've noticed is that I've made some statements about the whole thing on Twitter and Instagram regarding the Apex hack. And I've actually seen a few people like cheer for the hacker and say, yo, this is great. Finally, we're getting some attention. Like, bro, haven't you seen Respawn's tweets? They said they're already working on it. They're aware. And the people in favor of the hack are literally not affected by the DDoSing in Titanfall. None of them are affected. It doesn't get into my head how these people that have not suffered the consequences of that security breach are actually in favor of the hack. It makes no sense. Like, the Titanfall streamers, I haven't seen anyone saying, yeah, this was good. You know, there have been a few different takes on like how much they think how much attention and work we deserve, sure. But not. I haven't seen anyone saying, yeah, this was great. We should hack Apex and do it again or whatever. The only people in favor of the hack are literally people that are not affected by the DDoSing and the blacklist and everything. And it's weird. If it would come from Titanfall 1 players, okay. So I wouldn't say it's justifiable for them, you know, but I have a little bit of understanding of why they might think so after 2 years of being unable to play their favorite game. Sure, but from Titanfall 2 players, it makes no fucking sense. You're unaffected by it. Maybe you got randomly hit by a DDoS attack because recently the PS4 servers have been hit. Yeah, but it's just weird. Like, if you're not affected by it, don't speak for us, please. It's gonna happen at some point.
From like, I guess, personal philosophy, I think it's like, you can always understand the other party that you don't agree with, but it's a difference between understanding and agreeing. Like, I can understand that people are upset and angry at Respawn for selling a partially dysfunctional game, but that doesn't mean that I agree that they should hack and ruin the fun for Apex players.
Right.
It's
two
like,
different things.
Yeah, like understanding and agreeing are two different stuff. Like, I would say we're all adults here, but most of us, some of us aren't adults. But I think you don't have to be an adult to understand, like, you can still talk with people or agree with people, not agree with people, but you can listen to people that you do not agree with. I understand why a big chunk of the community thinks that this was a good idea, but I wholeheartedly don't agree with it. It's just making things worse.
Because we can understand them, because we know all the background, all the information about the history between Apex and the Titanfall community, and all the DDoS attacks and everything. We have all the information available. It's just a different way how we interpret it and prioritize it with our morals there. And for some people, it's a right thing to do to hack Apex to get attention for Titanfall, whereas we, the Titanfall creators, for the most part, I think, don't agree with it, actually, even though we're the ones affected by the Titanfall 2 blacklist. Can't speak for the Titanfall 1 community. But it's a weird, it's like a paradox, basically. I don't know, it doesn't really make sense for me.
I would say, like, the only good thing that came out of this, which definitely is not a good thing, is that basically the Apex community now knows how the Titanfall community feels, like being locked out of the game, and that should, and just that, because this isn't fixed, this could happen for, like, permanently for Apex, but this is not the way to do it. This is absolutely, savage. It's stupid. It's they shouldn't. People who only play Apex and doesn't even know that Titanfall exists shouldn't have to, be locked out of their favorite game just because another community is suffering.
Also, I mean, of course, many people from Titanfall have transferred over to Apex. They're playing it mainly now, or at least a good portion of the Apex community is aware of Titanfall at this point. It's been 2.5 years since Apex came out. Many of them are aware of it, but maybe there's, let's say, 30-40% of the players, maybe even more, that are not aware of Titanfall. And now their first impression of Titanfall is that this community just consists of some stupid fucks who need attention for their game and prevent players from playing that. Like, that's our first impression now, thanks to one or two people that hacked Apex. Like, great. Thanks, bro. That's dog shit.
Yeah. I mean, the Titanfall community has never been that big. And then, I mean, it's strange to think that for about 3 years ago, the Titanfall community was seen like as the most wholesome, or not the most, but one of the most wholesome gaming communities, because people were like, I'm new to Titanfall. What is, like, slingshotting? How do I do that? And then people would actually take time, like, hey, add me on Origin, or hey, add me on PS4, add me on Xbox, and I can show you in a private match and just talk. That was like a common thing. And now what people remember Titanfall for is like, oh yeah, the game is broken. The player base is toxic and small and stuff like that, just because of this single event. That is kind of sad and scary.
Very bad representation. I think the Titanfall community itself has usually been relatively chill. Like, not many beef events. Of course, there's always something on. Some people don't like each other. That's always how it's going to be. But in the broader sense, it always seemed more chill than other games for me personally. While with the DDoS attacks now, people that were usually, like, very chill with each other, they have different morals and priorities now, for whatever reason, whatever they might be. But people are starting to eat each other like alive now because of this. There's so much frustration that we're starting to fight each other just because of how we view the things here now. And this one single person responsible for the DDoS attacks and that hacker guy of Apex, like 2 people have caused so much damage now, and it is unbelievable how much this has led to within 3 months for Titanfall 2 and 2 years for Titanfall 1. It's incredible, and it's pretty sad that this like flourishing, mostly like super positive community has gone into a state of deep frustration and I don't know, within such a short time. It's pretty sad to see.
It's done a complete 180 in a very short time. That's really upsetting as a content creator who interacts, or, well, I wouldn't say that I interact a lot with the community. That's most because I don't know.
You're arrogant. Let's just say
I am arrogant. Okay, yeah. No, but it's mostly because I mean, I don't really see myself as someone who's higher than anyone else, and therefore it feels weird when people address me like, "Oh, you're the YouTuber. You're that guy." It's like, I'm just a normal guy, and
Right.
it's uncomfortable then going out on like social media or whatever, and then people like, "Oh, wait, you're part of the Titanfall community." Oh, I don't want to speak with you. You're weird, like stuff. I mean, it's also really uncomfortable when people say that they are from the Titanfall community and say like Apex should burn in hell. It's like, well, the thing is that what you say now will technically reflect on every other content creator. Like, oh, you stand by these people. Like, no, they are just doing something really bad. So I mean, even if you're not a content creator, what you say will reflect back on the community as a whole. So just like this, one guy hacks Apex for a couple of hours, and all of a sudden the community is basically put in jeopardy. Like nobody, or some people still have faith in the Titanfall community, but I think this is a huge setback.
Definitely.
So yeah.
I think what we should all try is to touch some grass. Nah. I've seen some Twitter posts about that. I get it. Some people don't want to touch grass.
Some people
don't want to find a different game. It's also a different thing. Some people build their livelihoods on streaming Titanfall or supporting their family and themselves through this. Just like myself, it's a passive income for me. But it's not like I'm like, oh, okay, I don't have extra money now, I'm gonna be super mad. I'm mad because I can't hang out with my community. I haven't been able to play my favorite game for almost 2-3 months now without having to fear a DDoS attack. I've had like maybe, let's say, 7 days where I didn't get DDoSed in the past 3 months. Friday was it Friday? I don't even remember. I think Friday was a lucky day where I streamed. The blacklist was off for like 24 hours or so. Yeah, it's people have different morals, priorities, and way they have interacted, and because of that they react different to this whole thing. And it's a difference. Like some people, I've seen people say, okay, just play a different game. I'm a very, very picky person when it comes to video games. People always recommend me, go play this game or that or that. And I didn't play many games in my gaming career. When I find a game that I like, I'm going to play it till the game is dead, literally. That happened to me with Fractured Space, a nice like online space game with spaceships, and so I played it till the end where you could not find any servers anymore, and the devs decided to just abandon the game completely, like shutting everything down. I just loved that game. I played it till the end. That's what I'm gonna do with Titanfall 2. And it's not that easy moving away from something that you're so attached to. We're still talking about video games here, but it's a whole community as well. It's not like, of course, you can still stay in touch with the community, sure, but we're missing a common ground here, which is the game. that brings us together.
I mean, it's kind of like saying to a diehard football fan, like, why don't you just like not
Play baseball.
Yeah, why don't you just play baseball or cheer for another team? I mean, the team you're hoping for has lost like 15 seasons in a row. Why are you still? It's like, it's not about the team. It's more about the community, the feeling of the people that you interact with. That it's not just, you know.
It's not that simple, you know. You can't just say it's just a game. There are so many emotions attached to the whole thing that it's not that easy to just walk away from it, as easy as it might sound. Yeah. I mean, for myself, I actually just started playing drums more on a daily basis, which I kind of didn't have much time for usually. So I've gotten a lot better with it, which is nice. I mean, it's an improvement, sure. But it's still, I can still understand why some people are willing to like do that now, to like get out and do something else. They're just like sitting a little bit frustrated and not willing to do anything else. Maybe it's also different whether or not you decide to leave a game on your own voluntarily because maybe you don't like the game anymore or the community, or you just found something better, you know, whatever it is, and then to be forced to leave a game because of the decision of one single person who decides that this game should die now, because of sheer hatred. You know, it's a difference whether you do it voluntarily or someone else decides it for you that you have to leave now. And lots of people would be less annoyed or they wouldn't even be annoyed if they decided to leave themselves, really, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're done playing with a game or done playing with a toy, you feel you have gone through like all the stages of grief, I guess, but you're kind of like done. You don't really want to continue playing with it, but
and some people are not yet just done playing it, you know. Some people still want to play with their favorite toy here.
Yeah, I mean, if someone yanks your, I don't know, your football or your I don't know, your Rubik's cube or whatever, just rips it out of your hand like, nope, you're not allowed to play with this anymore. You're gonna be upset because, hey, I wasn't done. I was still playing with it. That's kind of the same here. It's like if someone yanks Titanfall out of the community, it's like, we were enjoying the game. You can't just do that, especially when you're not like part of the development team. If a third party is like, you are not allowed to play, people would be upset. That's just how it is. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just strange that, I mean, I don't understand what the DDoSer is really getting out of this. I mean, he's probably getting a lawsuit and jail time, hopefully. But I mean, I don't get what they're getting. For what are they getting from this?
People don't necessarily need to get anything from it. I don't want to put this person on the same level or stage as a like school shooter or so. But I think the reason for why they do this is maybe the same. And of course, we can't compare killing a game to like killing actual humans. Let's make that clear. But the intentions behind it is just to cause as much damage as possible, to see the world burn. And it's, for some people, this is what gives them energy. It's a rare characteristic, let's say. But some people have just no... I don't think we can like make too many assumptions about that person's personality now. But it seems like it's a miserable existence from our standpoint. I think I don't think there's much great going on in this person's life, leading to this whole thing here.
I mean, as I said before, maybe there is an explanation. Maybe we can understand why, but that doesn't mean that we agree with the actions. I mean, if this person is really feeling miserable, we can understand that, but doing this is not the way to solve that. This is just making it worse
for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a deep psychological question in the end, I think. Which is not my sort of expertise here.
I don't think none of us is qualified to go that deep, but hey.
Yeah, but still nice to go into these things a little bit. I kind of checked everything from my list that I wanted to talk about. Do you have any other
No,
points standing?
I don't think I have any more points to make. I mean, mostly what I prepared for this podcast, I guess, was basically like, you know, Respawn are working, actively working on the problem. There is a lot more than just fixing it, and there's also maybe some legal troubles when it comes to like getting help from the community or stuff like that. Because if someone cracks open your game, you're not gonna be super happy all the time, depending on what they do with it. So yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say really.
It's far more complicated than it seems from the outside.
Yeah.
Let's say, it's gonna need some time. Let's just say that again. If they have 1 to 2 people working on the problem that are actual professionals in that field, knowing that Respawn has like, I don't know how many employees they have. Let's just say a random.
Let's say 300.
Number instance. 300, right? So we have maybe 20, 30 people working in 3D art. Who knows? So in the end, these 1 or 2 people that are professionals in that field regarding the DDoS problem and the exploits in the code and whatever, that might be a relatively high percentage compared to what Titanfall brings them in money and Apex brings them in money. So I think we should be a bit more aware of that and a bit more grateful in the end, and see what happens in the future.
Yeah,
and just wait and try not to let this one person rip our community apart and bring us so much frustration that we just start eventually hating on each other. We should just, maintain the mentality that we had before the attacks, that we're a positive community that can go through this, even without a Titanfall 3 in the end. We can just still keep this game alive by playing when we can again.
Yeah, I mean, DDoSing both Titanfall 2 and Apex 1 gave us Titanfall 3 sooner. If anything, they will just delay it. So
right. So let's just make the best out of what we have. Stay in touch with the community. Try to stay positive as hard as it is, especially as the content creators or Titanfall 1 players. We feel you. And let's hope that we receive help very soon. And I thank you all for listening to this episode here today.
For those who watch live, thank you for coming by. For those who are watching on YouTube, well, thank you for listening through everything or skipping to the end.